at Summit in Salt Lake City this summer. Okay, plenty of you. So I'm actually not duplicating very much of what I talked about at Summit because I figured there were a lot of you here. We left off with the story of the tragedy of the earthquakes in Nepal. And that was in July. I spoke to you about what happened in April and May. There were two back-to-back 7.8 earthquakes. The first one wasn't too bad. Well, it was terrible. It ruined a lot of houses, but it didn't affect most of the workshops. The second one affected all the workshops. And 95% of the women we worked with lost their homes or part of their homes. And it was just overwhelming. And with your help and the help of the network of people through Aid to Artisans and everybody I have known for years that knows about the work we do, we raised almost $100,000. We have been, and everybody was concerned if you, as Talley said, you just send money over, where's over? How does it actually get to the people that need the help? So we visited close to 250 artisans and handed cash to them. So that was, we did that 2 times. So we made quite an impact. And so,
sorry, Docey, was that Color by Amber or was that Aid to Artisans?
This was combined pot of money. Color by Amber represented close to, I think it was about $14,000 from Color by Amber, so it was a good chunk of that, 100,000. And Freeform was approximately 26,000, I think, of that, and the rest was through the other efforts that went into it. So this is an example of one of the homes, multi-generational homes in Bhaktapur, which is an area we do a lot of fiber preparation in. This is the area where they hand tie the hemp. It's the hand-spun, hand-knotted hemp. So this area was pretty well devastated. This is our part of Everest Art Paper built a new factory. They were about to move into it in June, and they couldn't. It was damaged. We did a lot of direct relief effort. This is Gautam. He works in the quality control section at for all the products for Everest Art Paper, and he's handing out rice. The pickup truck that picks up all the silk cocoons and does everything else was busy in the field. This is where we dry the handmade paper. Fray and some other Freeform and Color by Amber products are made and dried in this. This became a relief tent, and 5 families moved into it and camped there until they had tents in their own neighborhood. So, excuse me while I put it all. So this was my most recent trip, and we visited the Solukhumbu area. This is at about 8,500 feet, and Full Circle has been active in Solukhumbu, not only with artisans, but supporting school programs, lunch programs in monasteries that teach young boys to become monks. So we pay for their lunch program and dinner program. And we also, about 5 years ago, started buying cows to bring up to the area so the families would have an extra source of income. And the whole cow enterprise was based on how can we get the gardens more fertile, the land more fertile up there, and they needed fertilizer. And they needed milk, so you can combine the two together and eat cow. And so we bought 5 cows and 1 bull, and they were carried over to past little old lady. They started out nice and fat. By the time they got there, there was skin and bones, and we got them fattened up again. they started breeding, and this is a fun little aside. Buddhists cannot kill anything. So normally, if you're trying to start a milk enterprise, you cull out the boy cows, get them out of there, and only deal with the females. So bulls turned out to be very expensive to keep, and we ended up having to work with Muslim butchers who would come in. They take the little boy cows away and leave the girl cows to grow up. And then you have the problem of the original bull cannot get it on with his granddaughter. So, you know, my expertise is product development, not artificial insemination. But we now have 18 cows, dairy cows, all milking, all producing, and we did the economic sort of metrics on this, and it started costing more to feed the cow than it was giving back in milk. So people were getting nervous. This isn't working out. What can we do? And we decided we would make cheese. And the cheese would be a higher value-added product. We could sell it to hotels in Kathmandu. So we found a volunteer cheesemaker from Vermont to come to Nepal, and we did a cheese-making workshop. So, this picture includes some of the women whose homes were damaged. Their husbands are all gatherers of lacta plants. Lacta is what we make the handmade paper out of. So we send all the kids of the 12 lacta gatherers to school and help rebuild their houses. So not everybody was here that day, but we...
Docey?
Yes?
Could you just say the name of this village again?
This one is Najing, N-A-J-I-N-G, and it's in the Solukhumbu region. Khumbu is where Mount Everest is. Solukhumbu is the whole region. Khumbu is Mount Everest. Khumbu is the mother mountain.
And you can't drive there, right?
Well, you can sort of drive now here. There's a hydropower plant going in, and the company that's doing the hydropower plant put in a sort of a road. It's not the kind of road you want to drive on unless you're in four-wheel drive. It's hair-raising road, and that's the road we drove on. This is in Salary, which is the provincial capital of Najing, and this is the little monastery where we pay for the lunches and dinners of the boys there. That's my son taking photos. And here they are, the students. This is the group at Everest Art Paper, and they do the final finishing of just about everything that's in the interlayers, that the woven lurex, the woven hemps, all the handmade paper, all of the products that are shared products with Freeform are finished by this group of artisans. And this is the hand out the money picture. So we gave each one. He's our master paper maker, Norbu. He's great. Both he and his wife are paper makers. And this is the group that makes Silk Connection, Mini Silk Connection. So there's a whole workshop that just does that. And they also do bamboo. I don't know if you've got bamboo in here. I think you do. And about 70% of this workshop are deaf workers. So it's very quiet there. Everybody does sign language. And there's a very good relationship with the Deaf Association of Nepal because our partner, Lakta's wife, is deaf, and he was president of the Deaf Association. So he has given opportunities of employment at fair wages to the deaf, and has done so for a long time. So Lakpa is next to me in the baseball cap. He's a very unassuming, fifth-generation Buddhist paper maker, and his family has made prayer papers for the monasteries, and there are about 6 monasteries in the Solukhumbu area where we're located. And they sign for their money. Some of them, no, this one doesn't have, some can't write, so they get their thumbprints. This is the hemp weaving workshop. And it's interesting because it takes about 5 or 6 raw material suppliers to supply one weaver. So for every weaver that's making one of our products, there's a backstory of all of the raw material preparers, and we subcontract to little village groups that we've set up to spin and tie, knot the abaca and knot the hemp. And so it goes all the way down to the farmers that grow the materials, and each one of them is like a little entrepreneurial unit. We give them training so they manage their own business, and they hire another 20 people to work with them. So it's this really complex network, and that network is larger than the employees at VAP. So there are about maybe 250, 300 full-time employees, and then 1,500 to 2,000 of these cottage industry farmers and spinners.
Sorry, what was the number there? How many in total?
In total, it's about 2,000. And I'm sure Talley has relayed to you some of the three-form color by amber relationship, but it's special that color by amber doesn't need 100 panels or something. You can get by with 12. So that actually fills in the employment gaps. With some of the groups that can't make big quantities, they can only make the smaller quantities. Even when we're looking at new sites in Madagascar, it would be difficult for them to ramp up for large quantities of anything. It needs to be micro. So in a way, you're a micro business too, even though you have all these sales reps and all of this energy to do stuff. A bangle, you know, of a 4x8 sheet is not a whole lot of material. But the interlayers, 12 of them could take a village 2 months to make, to spin, to make, to do all that. So it's a really good fit for the micro. My son again, he's been at this with me for a long time. Sorry, I have to toggle between files.